Right. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. We can, so good afternoon and welcome back. I think we are a bit late. Doesn't matter. There was another lecture going on, as Madhushi said, right? So then we had to rather wait for a while. That doesn't matter. Thank you very much once again, CMS Sri Lanka, Jinadi, and also Madhushi is helping me today with the hosting task and also slide sharing. Uh, so as you know, we are discussing yesterday. I hope everyone who was with us yesterday would have should be today with us. We are discussing your 403 BSR Business Strategy and Risk Management strategic level May 2020, rather 2020 paper. So yesterday we just had general discussion and was able to complete the part one compulsory question. Then we are moving in today to the part two, right? The first question. So can we have the slides up to, you can go on, yeah. All the questions were done in part one, yeah, just go on, right? Furthermore, yeah, this is the question, yes, thank you very much. Yeah. So let's start to look at question number two, right? So here also I'm reminding, in fact, we will be talking about basically what good question and good answer should include, but again, approach is in your hand. You should be able to write in your level best uh, with the creativity and assumptions and extra details bringing in to get the full marks, right? So the question number two goes as this. It's from the area of macro environment. As you know, you would have done this in your theoretical area. Just to remind you, the macro environment and micro environment analysis are very important in terms of strategic environment analysis in the strategic management process, entire process, right? Once you set the directions in terms of vision, mission, and objectives, then you will have to analyze your both internal and external environments. So in macro environment, basically, it's a large environment, external environment, where you have opportunities and threats, and which is uncontrollable, as you know, for a strategist, right? In comparison with the internal environment, or rather micro environment, comparatively, which is much more controllable, the factors or forces within. Uh, but in the, as you know, in the internal environment, you have basically strengths and weaknesses. So once you do your environmental analysis in both macro and micro, you can do your SWOT analysis effectively and critically to strategize. So you should know where you are actually. So you have basically decided with the directional setting in terms of vision, mission, and objectives, where do you want to go? And then we will see where do you stand, or rather you take stocks of yourselves and see, right, what your current business standing is all about, and then right, and then what sort of environment you would be operating in. So macro environment will tell you what are the opportunities and threats available in the marketplace, and then the micro environment, right, the analysis will tell you what your strengths and weaknesses. So this is the area relevant, and then the question goes as macro environment analysis is vital. Can we move to the next slide? Actually, then from that onwards, I have again indicated the question and answer together, so we can both go together. Madhushi, if you don't mind, can we move to the next slide? I will go from there, right? Okay. Now here in red, the same question is here, right? So see, macro environment analysis is a vital component of strategic analysis in the course of formulating strategy in organizations. So you understand that, you know. However, to make it strategically relevant, the impact of such environment forces must be considered in relation to a particular organization's business model and the type of products and services marketed. Yes, it's very true, that statement, right? And but I just want to emphasize here, sometimes students do very generalized analysis with relation to macro environment analysis. But here they say the second sentence is very critical, but they say, yes, I mean, you may have the same environment offered to you. Like today, if you take with the COVID pandemic situation, we all will have in Sri Lankan and global situation, both domestic market and overseas market, the same situation. But when you analyze from industry point of view, organization point of view, depending on the products and services that you market, the nature of opportunities and threats what you have could differ. So that's where the critical analysis should come in, right? So now here what they ask is, yes, right? So you got to analyze from the point of view how it affects the given scenario. Now there's a small context given in a mini case scenario. What is that? You are required to, you all hear me loud and clear? Oh, I can just see sounds coming in sometimes. So maybe without knowing someone's mic is on or other unmuted, you can keep it mute, right? And when you want to ask questions, as I said earlier, you can unmute and ask questions. So contribute your ideas to the discussion. Yeah, yeah. Please try to keep your, and also I think for everyone's benefit, the institution is recording this discussion. So for future use, you can get it. If you keep your mic on, your surrounding voice will come and distortion could happen. Then whatever we communicate will not be very clear, right? All right, all right. So coming back to the question, that's a reminder actually. Sometimes it happens even from my end can happen, right? Mic can get switched off or unmuted, muted. That can happen all the time. Doesn't matter, right? So what this question is all about, like, okay, macro environment analysis is very important in strategic formulation. Now, before you decide what sort of a strategy your organization, what sort of business plan your organization want, you got to understand what your strengths and weaknesses and what sort of environment you are operating in, which, what are the threats and opportunities you have. That's what it's all about. So that, right, that has to be done in relation to the tiny context given here. So what you are required to do, compare and contrast how the undermentioned economic forces may impact the strategy of a company manufacturing and marketing apartments, that means condominiums, we call condos, right? Like overseas reality and prime lands kind of people, housing industry, right? Apartment or housing or condominiums, condos, company A, you can consider it as company A versus against company importing and marketing pharmaceuticals for pressure and diabetes, company B. So what they say is they're giving you two contrasting right industries. One is apartment setting up, putting up kind of a company by nature of, right, overseas reality, or in terms of prime lands kind of company, right? So they are into apartment or apartment building, civil construction and selling, marketing industry. Other one is pharmaceutical importer and marketer, right? Like Feta Pharmacy, or right, there are so many other companies which import pharmaceuticals or drugs, medicine from overseas countries, and they do marketing operation here. Now, to both these two different organizations, you have to compare and contrast. That you have to understand. Huh? You got to, when you write, you got to have a comparison and see what are similarities to how this same scenario will affect, right? Where the similarities and where the contrasting, different, opposing situations will come in. Now you can elaborate, and right, since you are getting 12 marks, you can elaborate in your own words. You can bring icing on top of the cake, and you can write in your writing skill, right? But we have just taken the essence what you should talk about in this with relation to the two industries: apartment building and marketing, and trading of pharmaceuticals. So how, so you know, all these factors what they're given, right? Interest rates, right? The exchange rates, all these are inflation, right? As you know, interest rates are in Sri Lanka currently very low, right? The government decision, they have made lending rates and investment rates very low. And inflation is high actually at the moment. As you know, the price levels of general price levels of goods and services are high than your earning, while your earning is constant. Exchange rates, rupee is devaluating very fast. We don't see big influx of foreign currency coming into the country, and though our imports are restricted, certain areas our imports, we import only essentials, despite the fact that government has certain prudent or this prudent measures in protecting exchange rate, but still it is going up to, it was almost up to 200. Now it has come down to, again, slight change as appreciation has happened. But exchange rates, inflation, in single, if I put poly anupatyan, inflation is udamane, exchange rates, it's again against local currency. What's the foreign exchange rates? These are coming under economic factors. In macro environment, you have factors like we identify mainly the forces like pest or pestle, Sometimes you can talk about in shortened form political, economic, social, technological, but in the more exaggerated or extended version, you can talk about pestle law, political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal. Now here they talked about your questioning is on economic factors, which are interest rates, inflation, and exchange rate. So how interest rates would impact a civil construction company putting up housing, apartments, and marketing them. And also a pharmaceutical company, they import overseas products with the license in Sri Lanka and marketing it. How it happens? See, the interest rates very impactful for a company marketing apartment, because these products will have to be bought through loans, and interest rates is the price, is the price of money. Interest rates is the price of money, as you know, as being accountants, And when price goes up, demand depresses. That means demand comes down. So what they say is, normally when compared to essential life-saving drugs or medicine, or pharmaceuticals, it's an essential item. It's almost FMCG or essential item, Your buying behavior for, your buyer behavior, customer demand for drugs, It's not price sensitive. At the time of when your loved ones or your friend or relative is suffering, if doctor prescribes you anything, price doesn't matter at that time. But if you really look at the apartments, are not very frequently you buy, and also investment wise, it's a huge investment you make. Purchase price is sometimes in and around Colombo, an apartment could start from sometimes 10-15 million, which will go up to 30-40 million. So most of the time people will not buy upfront. These are these purchases. Even a person who has money would dump his money in investment portfolio like share market now, since it's doing well, or if not FD, safe but very low interest, or any other way, and he will obtain a loan. But what they say is, so interest rates, if interest rates are high, supposing interest rates are high, so money is a commodity, as you know. Money is a commodity. So when you it has a price. The money is price. When you acquire funds, you have to pay what? The interest. That's the price that's the cost of capital. So you need to, when you borrow money from the bank, if your interest rates are very high, you will be discouraged. So in a situation, interest rates are very high, you will not be interested in to invest in apartments, buying 30, 40, 50 million apartment. So that's the effect on when you have high interest rates. So apartment, but it will not impact to that extent, as I said earlier, for medicine. I mean, interest rates, whatever the situation, it is not sensitive. That's what it says. May not be that important for the demand perspective from a company. Marketing consumer essential. It's a consumer FMCG or consumer essential, life-saving medicine, Even from for a very low price to even highest price, people will even sell their land, property, any movable, immovable assets, and just go for curing the patient. Therefore, medicine, inelastic to the price. It's not changing. So that's a contrasting and comparing situation, the interest rates, you understand. So you got to, now this idea, just a right technical idea. You can bring it in your own words, right? More attractive manner, you can write it in. But idea is that. All right, okay. Can we move to the next inflation slide? Inflation and exchange rates, okay. Next slide, please. Madhushi. Right, okay, thanks. So how inflation අපි කියන උද්දමනය කියලා නේ රටක භාණ්ඩ හා සේවාන්ගේ මිල නිරතුරුවම I will put it in Sinhala also sometimes, right? I hope you wouldn't mind, but if you don't want Sinhala, you can let me know. I can do it in fully in English language, but here and there, right? We can use. So inflation means uddamani. When your price levels of goods and services are constantly going up, where your earnings are constant. Then when inflation is high, what happens with the same earning? You have to spend more money to buy the same basket of goods, right? But here, how it affects in that scenario? See, a higher inflation may impact the disposable income. Disposable income is what? The income which is remaining for you to spend on your essentials, right? Disposable income. In a high inflationary environment, this also, like interest rates, may mean this will lead to lesser demand for housing and hence definitive threat for compared to company B. So what they say is, right, when inflation is high, your disposable, there's an impact on your disposable income, because earlier, if you have earned 100,000, you bought certain X amount of goods. Now with the inflation, to buy X amount of goods, you have to spend maybe 125, 135 rupees, 35,000. You have to spend more money. So then what happens is, right, the money you save, your savings will come down, right? Therefore, what happened, right? You will demand for what you demand for apartments and all will be deterring, or it will come down. It will. So when inflation is high, you will not demand because your existing costs, right? But ජීවත් වෙන්න යන පිරිවැය වැඩි. No, first you have to eat and live to go for a right luxury apartment and all. So therefore, first you will consider on kids' education, right? Transportation, medicine, your food item, all that. If you have to spend more money theoretically on that, your savings on, right, maybe motor vehicles, maybe apartment like investments will have an impact because you have less money for that, right? But of course, comparatively, company B is a pharmaceutical company, again, as life-saving drug selling, right? It will not have much impact because people, even your inflation, right, whatever the situation, if you have to buy a drug, you will buy it at any cost. So comparatively, right, you have more impact on the apartment selling company A. Then the exchange rates, right? Exchange rate means, right, as you know, Vinimaya Anupata. Vinimaya Anupata means for your local currency, in hard currencies, what are the rates? Now, these days, actually, it had gone, especially according to most popular hard currency, right? US dollar, then sterling pounds, euro, right? Like yen, this kind of recognized currency, Sri Lankan rupees coming down because our earnings are less. So there's a depreciation, sharp depreciation taking place in terms of local LKR against USD, right? Right. So you can see now, if exchange rates are going up, what sort of situation you will have in the economic forces in the macro environment. For company B, it is, right, as it's all important company, this will be a threat. But since they market life-saving drugs, may be a lesser threat. Yes, of course, exchange rates will be there. Should be some threat on them because, as you know, this is not a manufacturing company, locally drug manufacturing company. They represent foreign principals in an overseas country for branded drugs or pharmaceuticals. So therefore, earlier what they brought down for $100, now the same stocks may not be able to, because you have to pay more rupees to buy dollars. Earlier, had they paid, let's say 100 18,000 rupees, sorry, 18,000 rupees for $100, right? Now they must be paying about almost 200, right? 20,000 rupees for $100. So what they bought from $100, let's say X number of stocks, now at a higher LKR. That means you have to pay more local rupee because imports, no? When dollar is appreciating against local currency, you have to pay more money, as you know. So therefore, but since it's life-saving drug company, that marginal or a small increment would not be that effective. Then what's the situation on, right? Company A, which is condominium, right, construction and marketing company. The company A, the extent of threat will depend on the amount of imported component in the final product cost. Yeah, how it happens now? It impacts construction industry. The number of products you use in construction industry, and hardware items like cement, bricks, iron, steel, PVC, you name it, and all, maybe tiles and bathroom fittings. All these items are, if they are, most of the items are imported, you have to pay more money. Then your apartment costs apparently will go up, because earlier what your cost of, right, putting up a 5,000 square feet apartment with 2 bedrooms and bathrooms and veranda, all that, the cost you, let's say 10 million. Now it will cost you about at least 13, 14 million, couple of millions more. Then your selling price will go up. No, so then when, as you know, in general theory, when the price goes up, the demand comes down. Then people will not be able to afford for that. So therefore, exchange rates again will have more impact on the condominium or housing construction, apartment construction business, as the component they use in, right, hardware items and all other raw materials they use will go up. Their prices will go up. So that's the impact. So now you got to analyze in this manner critically with regard to the scenario given. All right. I hope we can move on to the next slide. Hope that is clear. We can move to the next slide. Right. Now you have 3 marks given, right? Small question, but it's important. 3 marks will be important for you. So again, I'm reminding, reiterating, and re-emphasizing the fact that you should not spend much time on these sort of questions. Quickly, as soon as possible, if you know the answers, without wasting time, you have to write the correct answer for 3 marks, move on to the next question where you get more marks like 10, 12, 15. Right? So therefore, just an examiner will not expect you to write in elaboration and more explanatory manner for this. If you just really give the idea, okay, look here, man, I know what ethical responsibility, I know what legal responsibility, that's enough. 3 marks for 2 terms, you will get 1.5 marks, most probably in the marking scheme. So if you just give the definition or basic understanding, that would be enough. No? So what they're asking is 2.2 is briefly distinguish between legal responsibility and ethical responsibility in relation to a company. 3 marks. So briefly, now understand these words in the examination. Huh? At least I know I don't have to remind at your level, strategic level, the reading the question and understanding what exactly the examiner is asking you to do is very important. The briefly means KTA in concise form, right? And distinguish means you have to you have to clearly and separately identify these 2 terms. And in other words, go ahead and explain these 2 terms in very concise, brief manner to give the idea. So what do you mean by ethical? And as you know, ethical means sara dharma tanuva. So that's not compulsory. Legal means, yes, neetimaya. If not, we call legitimate, legal. Neetimaya, and it's a must. So your responsibility in managing business, the legal responsibility becomes must. You can't avoid it. You are law binding. But ethics, there is no law. it's that your quality as a corporate citizen, your quality, and it's up to you, like ordinary, right, civil citizen, law abiding, right, and also having good qualities. You got to respect certain conditions when you run your business, but there is no legal binding there. That's the difference between ethical and legal. So we'll just try to understand it. See, ethical responsibility is an obligation. You have obligation. Now you are obliged of a company to do what it's morally right, and avoid doing any harm for all stakeholders, right? And the legal responsibility is to obey the law. Yes. So you bring a legal responsibility, show a difference, distinguish, contrast there. So it's all about ethically means you respect uphold your moral values, right? මානසික සාරධර්ම වලට අනුකූලව තමන්ගේ පංගුකාරයන්ට stakeholders responsibility එක, right? What you do, who are your stakeholders? You know, your customers, your investors, your employees, your government, regulatory bodies, suppliers, right, and competitors, bankers, media, public, general public. All these are your stakeholders in the business. So you got to right, do your part when you're right managing your business in a ethical manner. In ethical responsibility is the commitment. So you're committing to the organization to run respectful manner by upholding human values. Yes, මානසික ගුණධර්ම, මානසික සාරධර්ම නේද? Mata, you have to run your business integrity, avankabhavya, and honesty by fulfilling all stakeholders of the business. So there are no rules and regulations and law involved there. It's up to you with your culture, with your value set, corporate value, how you run. But on contrast to legal, in that it's not liable for individual in the society, but also to the business in society. It's not only you are liable, you are liable not only to individuals in the society, but also the businesses. As a corporate entity, business organization, you are abide by commercial law, right? The labor law and mercantile law. There are many legal requirements are there, and then you have kind of government organizations, departments, regulatory requirements, compliance requirements that you have to abide by. That's a law. For example, in terms of labor law, you as a company, you can't recruit any employee below 18 years, right? If that's the case, right? And basic salary, according to the Wages Board Act, you have to pay minimum wage of 20,000 for lowest employee. Now these you have to, there is no ethical responsibility, legal. You have to, your law bound, your statutory requirements. You can't deprive people working more than 9 hours or 8 hours net and 9 hours with, let's say, the free time and all for lunch and all that. If you, right, if according to Shop and Office Act, if any worker or employee working more than 45 hours a week, they have to be paid overtime at the right acceptable rates of 1.5 on a normal day of your basic salary. Likewise, these are legal, right, when you're running. And if you have to obtain in running your business environmental protection authority licenses, you have to obtain them. That's right. This is what legally binds. So you are responsible legally towards both the environment and the companies, corporates. As business, right, is an entity itself must also follow law and rules. Yes, law and rules. Every business has a responsibility to operate within the boundaries set by the various commissions and agencies at every level of the government. Yes, I mean, like it may be every level of the government means by the government is represented in national level in the parliament. No, maybe provincial council, maybe regional bodies like Palat Sabha or the Pradesh Sabha. All these law enforcement, law right controlling institutions. If there are law, you have to be as an organization. So that's what you call legal responsibility. So you have a responsibility to right run your business legally as well as ethically. Okay, right. I hope that's clear enough. So we can move to the next slide. Right. Now we will look at part B, question number 3, right? That consists of, so we'll quickly look at the questions here, then we can move into the answers in, right, once we understand the questions here. With the slides, you will have the question, but still we can go into the answers straightly by looking at the questions. Here, the question number 3, part A goes as, you are required to, 3.1, distinguish between departmentalization, decentralization and centralization as some variables in the course of strategy implementation. Yeah, as you know your structure, your culture, your values, right? Organizational different structural models. All these things are coming in strategy implementation area. If you really recall what you have learned in strategic planning process, standard strategic planning process, as I said earlier, you first set directions in terms of vision, mission, and objectives of what you want to achieve in the long run. Then you do the environmental analysis of both external and internal, right? Environment to take stocks, where do you stand, right? And then you look at actually, right, different strategic based on your, right, as we discussed the other day, based on your critical success factors and core competencies and right, mm, and unique resources, uh, right, you will develop what you call competitive advantage. Based on competitive advantage, the advantage which you have over your competitors, or something in simply explaining it, something you can do better than your competitors, the rivals you compete in the marketplace. Based on such competitive advantage, right, you will build up your strategy. The strategy means the system or means of you achieve your objectives. So once you formulate your strategy or craft your strategy, then you got to implement your strategy. So normally departmentalization, decentralization, these are coming under strategic implementation. අපි නැත්තම් සිංහලෙන් කියන ක්‍රම උපායක ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන අධ්‍යයනය strategy. Once you decide certain strategy, it will be cost leadership strategy. It, right, like Michael Porter talked about, it will be generic strategies like differentiation strategy. If not, it could be a combination of those, or rather focus strategy, focus differentiation. If not, as Ansoff talked, you will talk about organic growth or kind of penetrative, right, penetration, market development. If not product development, either diversification, relatedly or unrelatedly. If not, you will go on further of mergers and acquisitions, consortium build up, right? If not forward integration or backward integration, horizontal and vertical integration. Now these sort of many, right, strategic clock kind of thing, like there are various research scholars like Michael Porter's, Ansoff's, right, Johnson and Shaw's. They have come and talked about various business models to use at different levels, or Kaplan's balance scorecard in the strategy evaluation and strategic review. Norton and Kaplan, Dr. Norton and Kaplan. There's a question on that later on. So now strategy implementation is just to recall your memories on your theoretical understanding, right? Once you set direction for your directions, rather, for your organization, where you want to go, once you do stock taking and see where you stand, then how do you get there? How do you get there means, right, if you want to, for example, you want to be #1 biscuit and confectionery manufacturing company in Sri Lanka, for example, CBL, Ceylon Biscuits Limited, Munchie, right? Then you have to decide in which way we go and achieve that. So that's what is strategy. Once you decide on strategy, that has to put into, right, practice or execution, implementation. So now these areas are connected with strategic implementation. ක්‍රම උපාය ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න ඕනේ. You have to put into action. That's the most challenging stage in strategic management process. Right? Up to now, you can do anything, but this is a real challenge. You have to walk your talk. You have to put into action. ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න ඕනේ. තමන් කොළවල ගහලා නේද? strategy එක ලස්සනට සුදු කොළවල තියෙන document එක you have to implement it. That's where results should be shown. So here what they talked about, okay, in that stage you will talk about departmentalization, decentralization and centralization. So you define, but you don't go to details and spend much time here. Again, I am re-emphasizing because as it looks here, each term when you're explaining with couple of 2-3 sentences in brief, right, and tell you that the examiner, I can distinguish, I know difference between departmentalization to centralization, centralization to decentralization, you'll get only 6 marks. So therefore, try to spend at least maximum 2 to 3 minutes to explain one term. And then your 6 marks, you can't go more than 8 to 9 minutes. 8 to 9 minutes. If you go more than that, you will lose time to produce good answers elsewhere. So let's look at that question, and then part B. Then we look at answer to that. And then part B will be there in that slide with the answer. So can we move to the next slide, Madhushi? Yeah. Now this slide you can see I have explained basically just to give an idea the examiner to say as a student, look here examiner, I know what departmentalization, centralization and decentralization. Through that I can distinguish, right, or I can differentiate these 3 terms which usually we utilize in strategy implementation. If you produce answer like this, that's good enough. But you can write it in your own words. It's not necessarily be in the same words, same approach and all. Your simple terms you can use and explain. Now, departmentalization in singular term you use here is departamentu karane. Departamentu karane කියන්නේ නේද? එක company when it is gradually becoming larger, maybe a sole trader, තනි පුද්ගල ව්‍යාපාරයක්, අපි ඊට පස්සේ according to processes, according to products, or according to strategic functions, you will divide departments according to processes. If you take functions, strategic functions, you can departmentalize, as many Sri Lankan organizations have departmentalized. You can see even organizations you all are working, you have department of finance or accounts of finance, sales and marketing, manufacturing, if it is a manufacturing organization, or production or factory, right? Then IT, supply chain, right? Research and development, quality assurance. Likewise, depending on the industry, you can see this. If it is service oriented organization like bank or rather hospital or insurance company, you will have operations department, no, instead of manufacturing operations. But all other IT, marketing, HR, now that is the strategic functional based departmentalization. Departmentu karne ek time metana kiyanne. See, as an organization grows and gets bigger, it will be necessary at some point to establish different departments that are staffed, means consisting of employees, by group of people specializes in different types of activities such as marketing, HR and all, as I explained. The strategic management departmentalization is a grouping of activities and responsibilities by subunits of the organization. Yes, HR is a subunit, finance is a subunit, manufacturing is a subunit, supply chain management is subunit. They are all connected and integrated together, becomes the large organization. Right? If not, you can departmentalize it according to branches, right? Geographically. If not, according to processes, right? I mean, whatever the way. So, but each departmentalization, whatever the base you take, products or processes or strategic function, those departments will be consisting of individuals or staff with specialized ideas. For example, in finance, you will have people, those who are making finance as career and they are qualified and experienced in finance. In sales and marketing, you will see more or less sales professionals and marketeers, those who pursue their careers as marketeers. That's the way, right? These subunits are called departments. Yes, subunits. Department, divisions of labor. ඒ කියන්නේ අපි කියන මේකට සිංහලෙන් කියනවා ශ්‍රම විභජනය කියලා. ශ්‍රම විභජනය කියන්නේ නේද? මාකටිං වල ඉන්නේ මාකටියර්ස්ලා, ෆයිනෑන්ස් වල ඉන්නේ ෆයිනෑන්සියර්ස්ලා, HR වල ඉන්නේ HR professionals, production වල ඉන්නේ manufacturing and production professionals. So that's a division of labor. So each department you find the specialized people for that particular function, right? Quality assurance department will have quality assurance professionals, those who are having BSc, industrial manufacturing degrees, all that, or the degree of departmentalization. To what extent degree of departmentalization department with division of labor, shrama vibhajaniya, shramaya vibhajane වෙනවා නේද? shramaya vibhajane වෙනවා හැකියාව, skill and capability එකට අනුව. Driven by the need of the specialization, whether by processes or purpose within the organization. Yes, it is happening according to the purpose organization aramuna saha, right, processes kriyavaliya aramunu saha kriyavaliයට අනුකූලව that you can do that all, right? So whether you will decide your department will be divided, departmentalized according to the products, whether with the processes or with the strategic functions. You can see all these things, but commonly in Sri Lanka, I see people, right, departmentalization or division of labor and degree of departmentalization is happening according to a strategic functional base, strategic function, marketing, HR, finance, right? Then the centralization can, right? Everything is getting central to one place. Centralization. Make it a single link, single vachane for some people to help. Madhyagata karane, madhyagata vima, madhya central can madhya ne medateno. It can balayasa authority and power comes to one person. Centralization. See, centralization means a greater degree of central control in the making important decisions. Whether the degree of greater degree, වැඩි බලයක් තියෙන්නේ එක පුද්ගලයෙක් නැත්නම් එක තැනක, central, like Sri Lankan constitution. The executive president with the 20th amendment has almost all the power in the parliament. Parliament is just a house of, right, control. They don't have much power. Cabinet doesn't have much power, right? The executive president is above the law. That's the constitution made, right, created by the late Mr. J.R. Javadan in 1978. And that's continuing now. Everyone wanted to, right, when they are not in the power, they wanted to change it. Once they come to power, including Sirisena, they want to have more power. He just, right, went down a little. But now with the 20th amendment recently, with huge lobbying by the people, still, right, huge power is with the executive presidency, whoever holds it. So likewise in an organization, when one person, or two people or three people, few people have huge power to make decisions, that's what you call centralization. The unification, right? Unitary can the unique ethnic of the power and authority in hands of high level of management known as centralization. Centralization is a systematic and consistent concentration of authority at the central point. Yeah, madhya lakshe, the right matter, right? Then company managing director, CEO, or CEO and managing director together will control, and no one else can make decisions or has power. The Lanka, the prime minister is a puppet. Prime minister position can a puppet take. It can a puppet. Positions without authority. It can a Tanatura, right? Tanaturu, Kisima Balayak Nati. The Sri Lankan parliament take අගමැති කියන්නේ ඒව එකක්. එක එක එන පුද්ගලයාණෝ ඒක පොඩ්ඩක් එහෙට වෙනස් වෙනවා ඒගොල්ලෝ බලය අරගෙන. දැන් නම් අයියලා මල්ලා හින්දා එච්චර ලොකු ගන්නක් නැහැ. No, normally if you have very, now when J.R. Javadan was there, that was very eminent and right, very clear. The people, those who were in prime ministerships didn't have any power. So you understand what centralization. I'm bringing these examples for you to understand only, but you can put it in your own words, right? So madhyagata vima, balaya madhyagata vima, right? This is in strategic management. This is also important. According to the strategy, you need to have structure. Now, even in Sri Lanka, no, recently His Excellency the President mentioned, Hamudro Balapurut the කියන්නේ දැන් මේ ඉස්සෙල්ලා හිටපු secretary වගේ හිටපු ගෝඨාභය දෙන්න දැන් ඉන්න ගෝඨාභය එපා කියලා. ඒ කියන්නේ they want a person very powerful guy. So they say if this constitution should drive and country to be driven towards economic success, you need to have a very powerful dictator kind of person. That's the general feeling. 6.9 million people in Sri Lanka believes in that way, I hope, though we are not. No? Right, okay. Decentralization. This decentralization can vimadhyagata vima sinhalin kenawa. Vimadhyagata කියන්නේ right opposite of centralization, right? බලය දෙනවා. දැන් if you take state of Sri Lanka රාජ්‍ය ගත්තොත් නේද බලය ජනාධිපති ගාව ටිකක් තියාගෙන අගමැතිට තව ටිකක් දෙනවා, පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට සහ කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයට ගොඩක් දීලා බලය you dilute and you delegate your power. So in the case of corporate, like managing director will not hold on to all the powers and drive it. No, he will give it to certain powers to his CEO, COO, the general managers and senior managers, middle managers, and it is cascading down and it is diluting, and the empowerment or rather delegation of authority is coming down. Everyone has enough power and authority. Decentralization means the greater degree of delegation. That the delegation can is another power and authority to the subunits or regions. So you give the power, more power. Finance department, CFO has all the powers to make decisions up to some level to run the business. For each and every small thing, you don't have to refer to the managing director to get his signature. I have worked in certain organization. There is a director of finance, but he can't sign for 50,000 check even or bill. No, it has to go to the managing director because one man show, right? I can name, if you want, name of the companies also. They're multi-billion company, but even 50,000 rupees, like a small summa, very small money, has to be approved by managing director, but no authority. No, that's there. But here we talk about decentralization. Decentralization means, right, dispersal means now, I mean, sharing, dispersal of power, disbursement, authority by the top level to the functional levels, from top to down. The assignment of the authorities and responsibilities by the top management level of the middle level or lower level of the management is known as decentralization. As I said, it should be down further, like in Sri Lanka, really from parliament to central, I mean, provincial government to village council. So Palat Sabha, parliament to Palat Sabha, ilangata Pradesh Sabha, likewise. No, that's what power decentralization means. It is the perfect opposite of centralization. Yes, right. Direct opposite of centralization and decentralization, which is the decision-making powers are delegated to the department, divisions, unit or central level managers, organization-wide. Decentralization can also be said to be an addition to the delegation of authority. Yes, right. When it happens, decentralization is happening when you delegate. Whether power balaya, power or yatata palla. So you understand what departmentalization, department to karne, centralization, madhya karne, and vimadhya karne, vimadhyagata karne, decentralization. Let's move to the next slide, please. You understand it, huh? Next slide, please. Right. The make if anyone wants to just, if you have extra time and all, if you do that, sometimes you can get extra time, extra mark or two, because always the paper marker has about by authority he's given about 5 marks extra, which he can give it at his will and his consent to the students. So if you bring this sort of flavor and icing to your answers, sometimes even if you lose marks from 1 or 2 right marks from somewhere, sometimes from here you can catch up. Therefore, it's not compulsory. If you think that you can draw a small illustration like this and show centralization and decentralization. Centralization versus decentralization. Centralization, you can see person in center controls everyone around him. But in the decentralization, it's equal opportunity for everyone. Everyone gets involving because they have power, authority, and it is a delegated to everyone. So you have a greater teamwork in decentralization than centralization. Right. Let's move to next slide, please. Then part B of the same question. See, LM finance is a right? This was there in the previous slide, but since in the answer we are going slide by slide, I have mentioned it also here, differentiating from color, right? The situation in red, the answer in brown, and sorry, answer, the question is in brown and answer in large letters in black. So see the situation given in B question, right? Part B. LM Finance is a financial organization with 35 branches located in regions across the country. Regions across the country. The industry environment is which LM Finance operates is highly competitive, where customers expect superior responsiveness. It grants loans and leases, right, in respect of different product groups that include two-wheeler, that means motorcycles, three-wheeler, tuk-tuk, four-wheelers, cars and vans, right, and other categories of vehicle-related loans. As per the present operating procedures, all loans from whatever originated will have to be referred to the head office credit manager for loans to be approved before making the disbursements. Now that situation is given, you've got to understand. Huh? It's a straightforward situation. It's not much complicated. You can figure out, you can connect all the dots quickly and figure out. No, you have a company like, let's say, LB Finance or Central Finance kind of situation where you have 35 branches around the country, right, around the island. So then the industry environment, right, it is highly competitive, like in Sri Lanka. Exactly, you have about 40 to 50 finance companies recognized and so many regional and small finance. So it's a very, very competitive, fiercely competitive, highly competitive market. And customers expect, but in this customers service is very, very high. You know, even in advertisement, you can see, you know, processing of documents within a day, you know, processing of documents in few minutes is a critical success factor for what the leasing and finance companies like this, because customers want hassle-free, quick processing of their loans to buy the vehicle, two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler. So responsiveness is very, very important. But what happens in this company having 35 island-wide branches, all remote areas, it grants loans and leases. So to wahana ganna ණය මුදල් සහ leases, leasing පාසුකම් කල්බදු අපි කියනවා කල්බදු කියලා leasing පාසුකම් දෙනවා බදු පාසුකම් in respect to different products include three wheelers. හැබැයි ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා, as for the present operating procedure දැන් මේගොල්ලෝ පවත්වාගෙන යන ක්‍රමවේදයට අනුව ලංකාවේ කොහෙන් ගත්තත් දෙහිඅත්ත කණ්ඩියෙන්ද අටකලම්පන්නේන්ද වඩුකුඩේද ජෆ්නාද wherever they have branches 35 places, that right, that's what they say, from wherever it originated කොහෙන් එක ගත්තත් වාලච්චේනියෙන්ද කොහෙන් ගත්තත් මේක එන්න ඕනි කොළඹ වලට head office එකට. Right? It has to come to the head office. For head office, there's a centralized credit manager who approves all the 35 island-wide branches final approval to disperse the funds. ඒ කියන්නේ අපිට customer කෙනෙක් right අනුරාධපුරේ තලාවේ ඉඳලා ඉල්ලනවා loan එකක් tractor එකක් ගන්න 3 wheeler එකක් අත් tractor එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ hand tractor එකක් නේ. එතකොට මේ මිනිස්සයාගේ ලක්ෂ 5ක් දෙන එක මේ documents හදලා කොළඹ අනුරාධපුර තලාවේ branch එකේ ඉඳලා කොළඹ ඇවිල්ලා කොළඹ credit manager බලලා එයා approval එක දුන්නාට පස්සේ තමයි සල්ලි දාන්නේ එයාගේ ගිණුමට, නැත්නම් එයාට සල්ලි ලැබෙන්නේ සලස්සන්නේ. Disbursement of right disbursement කියන්නේ සල්ලි දෙන එක. So you can see this current operating procedure is time consuming. It is not user friendly. No, it takes time. So in this context, there's a question being asked. Critically evaluate the present loan granting process. What do you mean by loan granting process? When a loan is originated at any point of the island, even remote area, that documents have to be reached in the Colombo office, main credit control manager, and he should approve in order to give the money, right? Grant the loan or money to the applicant. Disbursement of the LM Finance from a centralization and decentralization perspective, and propose a suggestion that will better manage the situation. 9 marks දෙනවා. එතන මම vital factors ටික තියෙනවා. ඔයගොල්ලන්ට ඕන විදිහකට ඒක එහෙට මෙහෙට කරකවලා හදන්න පුළුවන්. මේකට ස්ටික් වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. මේකට ස්ටික් වුණත් ඕන කෙනෙකුට පුළුවන්. But at your level, you have better out of the box thinking, better writing skills. So you can include in your answer the approach you write these factors. Now, what are the centralized and decentralized? The current procedure, centralized and decentralization perspectives, right? Evaluate kalla. ඊට පස්සේ මේකට proposal එකක් දෙන්න මේක කොහොමද වඩා හොඳට කරන්න පුළුවන්. How can you do it better? Suggestions. You have to suggest. So answer has two parts. First, centralization and decentralization perspective only make it critically evaluate කරන්න. ඊළඟට you have to propose, okay, what to do this better, right? What you can do in order to LM finance company to do more quicker service, better service to its customer, without customers, without coming, because they say in a very, right, remember, in the context it says it's very competitive market. In a competitive market, customer expectation is what? Superior responsiveness. Quickly can only. Taggala loan එක දෙනවද බැරිද? දෙන්න පුළුවන්ද? දෙනවනම් taggala සල්ලි හම්බෙන්න ඕනේ. Right? You can't drag it for long. You can't, when the දෙහිඅත්ත කණ්ඩිය right farmer comes and asks, sir මගේ loan එක දෙන්නකෝ කියලා. අයියෝ sorry ඒක කොළඹ ගිහලානේ කොළඹ මහතුරු අස්සම් කරනකම් බෑනේ. No, baby is born. බබා හම්බෙලා. So then he will get frustrated. That response is not there. You will lose the customer, and the same guy will go to your competitor and will get it in 24 hours. Right? So your competitiveness is questioned here. So therefore, that's how you have to look at it. LM presently follows a more centralized decision-making mechanism when approving loans, because of all loans are approved by the head office, HO, head office credit manager. Yes, they have more centralized situation in this current operating procedure of approving, granting of loans, lease or vehicle loans. So that's more centralized. Advantage of this arrangement is that credit risk can be more effectively managed, such are done by the more experienced credit managers. Yes, Colombo critically evaluate you see the goods and bads. Evaluation can see the goods and bads. Examine critically examine. සලකලා බලන්න ඕනේ. නැත්තම් විභාග කරලා බලන්න ඕනේ critical විදිහට. ඉතා sharp විදිහට බලන්න ඕනේ. ඒතකොට එකක් අපි first එක කියනවා නේ LM එකේ දැන් තියෙන procedure එක highly, right, centralized, because right, what they do is all the credit applications should come to Colombo, and all that takes time. But in the meantime, we say it has one advantage. It has a better control over the credit risk, because when you are granting credit to people, no, I mean, you give money, and if they default and all, so you have to evaluate their capacity to pay, credit worthiness, whether this guy is capable of his assets or whatever collaterals he is producing against as securities. මේ වගේ බලන්න ඕනේ responsibility. නැත්නම් company එකේ right default rate එක high වුණොත් එහෙම we can be bankrupt. In the meantime, you have to be competitive by winning customers. So one advantage is this centralized system is experienced credit managers, right, in Colombo, they will evaluate critically and they'll have better control on your credit granting, loan disbursement. ආවට ගියාට දෙන්නේ නැහැ. On the other hand, the disadvantages are that it may result in delays in customer service and granting loans that may lead to customers' dissatisfaction, and also may lack local knowledge of the customers at that point. Yes. And a local disadvantage, as in the contest also says, this is highly competitive market, and customer responsiveness, superior responsiveness is a must thing in this particular competitive market. Make a highly centralized in the, it will take a lot of time for processing. And also the Colombo in the credit managers, the regional knowledge, they don't know regional ministunge. They may be very trustworthy customer who has been dealing with you for long years, and he has been very well paid customer, very good dealing, quality customer. Refuse කරන්න පුළුවන්. That customer dissatisfaction may also lack, because knowledge of the customers at that point. අනුරාධපුර customer ගැන හරියටම දන්නේ අනුරාධපුර මිනිස්සු, කොළඹ මිනිස්සු නෙමෙයි. කොළඹ මිනිස්සු හරියට තීරණයක් දෙන්න බෑ ඒ customer ගැන. Documents දිහා විතර බලලා. Those documents have some details, no? So therefore, the critical analysis, you say this is centralized. The main disadvantage is this, main advantage is this. So, but you have another part. You have to, if so, what they should do is suggest a better way of managing that. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Madhushi, we can go to the next slide. Yeah. So we have two strong suggestions. You can come up with more suggestions also with your experience, being right almost budding management qualified management accountants at strategic level. You can come out with many, but we have created two for you, two suggestions. Maybe that small value vehicle loans such as two-wheelers and three-wheelers may be approved at the branch level supervisor staff, while high value loans can be referred to head office credit. Yeah, what we suggest is, yes, I mean, if you really look at motorcycles, tractors, no, hand tractors, or tractor can be wheel tune, even three-wheelers, value is not very high. So you can have a demarcation of value up to 500,000, like the branch senior manager or even regional manager within that. Api Anuradhapura gatthoth ema Anuradhapura api hitamu branch ogalage company LM wala branches pahak tiyena location pahaka. So Anuradhapura, those 5 branches may be coming under Anuradhapura regional manager. So it's within Anuradhapura district. So it can, rather than it's coming all the way to Colombo, they can give either branch supervisor or branch manager or regional manager within that region can approve. So that will be a couple of hours or at least 1 hour, 2 days time you can do it. So that's the one suggestion you do, right? You can, meaning you go for more centralization, no, sorry, more decentralization, no, rather than keeping it Colombo head office with the centralized approach, you decentralize, give it to the branches itself or at least a regional head. Then he's responsible, right? Then they have better understanding of those customers, and fast processing will be for customer satisfaction, and you'll be competitive. Number 2, you say further, LM Finance can introduce or invest in a quality software or rather an ERP, enterprise resource planning system, to connect entire process together. All uni branching system, like many banks are having Sampath Bank and all that. Like all 35 branches can be linked together through a special software or ERP system and facilitate the process feed approval. So wherever, and you can have the control in Colombo, but let's say Anuradhapura guy logged in, manager says, right, I have input the system 3 loans. I need, right? You call and say I need approval today itself. As soon as Colombo manager sees that, he will look at, take few minutes, and if they are in line, he will say okay on system. So then in return, Anuradhapura guys will see that okay, these loans are approved, we can give the money to the customers, disburse the funds. So introduction or investment in that will speed up your process. So you have the both control in business, credit control, as well as customer satisfaction, because speedy, high responsiveness, the customers are satisfied. So this way you can make suggestions to be better. Fine, you understand. Let's move to the next slide, please. Question number 4. Right, let's go on now. We are going on. It's on balance scorecard as we talked about. Superior quality dining, SQD within brackets, is an upmarket chain of dining restaurants that commenced businesses in 2019. It initially commenced businesses in the Colombo districts with a few outlets. It now plans to expand it to 6 other districts. The company targets upmarket families in the cities and surroundings known to be serving quality food of Italian and French origins, using organic ingredients in its food preparation. The new general manager appointed with the expansion initiative wishes to put in place an effective strategic control system. Now, please understand this scenario given, then it will be easy for you to, even if you want to relate it to the case context given. So you have a restaurant, super quality dining, SQD. It's an upmarket chain. Now you got to understand this at strategic level. I hope you know upmarket is not the lower level or middle level, high end, where customers look for quality, right, delicious foods, and where they are prepared to give what, offer you premium price above market price. So SQDO super quality dining should have their value chain prepared in such a way their margin will be more than other restaurants, dining restaurants. The families, quality families to go in the evening and dine in the evening with the family to have their food there. That's becoming more or less bit of in Sri Lankan higher class and middle class. It's looking a lifestyle like at least 2-3 days a month they'll go out and dine out for a change and all, rather than you are eating. Not everyone can afford to do that, but in Sri Lanka we know, like you have many restaurants in Sri Lanka, Colombo, and many family restaurants are up and coming now. Yeah. So at least people like to take out their families and entertain at least once a month. No, that's happening. So there's a potential in this area that commenced business in 2019. So a year back they have started. It is initially commenced in Colombo district, with few outlets in and around suburb of Colombo, maybe Colombo, Nugegoda, right, Maharagama, Kiribati, likewise. It now plans to expand to other districts. Since they are very successful in Colombo, that's what we can assume. No, otherwise they won't spend. No. Now the Colombo 6 outlets have been doing well. Now they want to go to 6 other carefully picked potential 6 districts. Maybe it can be Gaul, Kurunegala, right? Likewise, up and coming districts. The company targets upmarket families in the cities and surrounding, right, cities and suburbs, known to be serving quality food. So their specialties, they offer Italian and French spaghetti, like kind of thing, French and all, then pizza. These are the kind of special evening foods. All these using, so specialties, they are using organic ingredients. No artificial, right? No additives, nothing, right? This is all organic. Organic, you know what organic is, without your ingredients using in food grades, right? All are organic, no preservatives, no chemicals, nothing is used. Swabhavika, elavalu, ඔක්කොම භාවිතා කරන දේවල් උයන්න ගන්න ඒවා ඔක්කොම ස්වභාවික දේවල්. The new general manager appointed with the expansion. Now they have with the event of the expanding to 6 different districts, they have recruited a general manager, right, and given new appointment to take care of the expansion program. So he wishes to place an effective strategic control system. Now you know what strategic control system is all about. Again, if I remind you or re-emphasize what I talked to you earlier. Now, in the strategic planning process, you have directional setting in terms of vision, mission, and objectives. Then you take stocks and see your environmental analysis in terms of external and internal, right, and macro and micro environment. And then you do the SWOT analysis, and you do the gap analysis and identify strategic gap from where you want to go and where are you now. And then according to companies, right, critical success factors and core competencies and competitive advantages, with the competitive advantage, the advantage you have with, right, when compared to others, something superior you have. Based on that, you build your strategy, right? That means you craft your strategy, you create your strategy, you formulate your strategy. That means particular strategy or strategies we selected. That strategy will take you where you want to be, to the objectives. ඔබගේ අරමුණු කරා ඔබ ගෙනියන්නේ ක්‍රමවේදය. So ක්‍රමවේදය means strategy, as you know. Where you want to be is your අරමුණු, and then from අරමුණු to darshanaya සහ මෙහෙවර, right? And as you know, vision and mission. So the vehicle, the plan, the system, the way of you reaching there is your strategy, ක්‍රමවේදය, උපාය ක්‍රමවේදය. Now, once you execute, implement your, right? So once you select your strategy, particular strategy or strategies, උපාය ක්‍රමවේදයක් හෝ උපාය ක්‍රමවේදයක් තෝරාගත්තට පස්සේ ඊළඟ තාම සුවිශේෂ කාර්යය තමයි. The very special function is put into action, execution or implementation. එකන්නේ අපි ඒ තෝරාගත්ත උපාය ක්‍රමවේදය ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න ඕනේ. Resource based right strategy. එකන්නේ අපේ සම්පත් මත තියෙන අපේ competitive advantage එක මත ගොඩනගපු strategy එක අපි ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න. Now when you are right, so strategy is always you do it for future. You don't do strategy for yesterday or tomorrow. Strategy is not for the past or present. Strategy is always for future. And strategy is not to lose. Strategy is predominantly and inheritedly for winning. You don't strategize to lose or get defeated. Then you don't have to do strategy. You have to strategize to win. උපාය ක්‍රමවේදයක් තෝරාගෙන ඒ ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්නේ දිනීමටයි. Let it be in the match or sports, let it be in the corporate world, or let it be in the war situation or military. So wherever you have a strategy, even in personal strategy, now why you are pursuing in CMA strategic level and all, because you want to be initially qualified CMA accountant. Then you that's part of your strategy, of your personal strategy, to become CFO, CEO, director, managing director of a company in your career path, career trajectory. So therefore, now once you implement your strategy, you are not very sure sometimes whether you're really moving towards what you want to be, what you aspire, what you expected to be there. Let's say in 5 years time, 10 years time, you say you want to be like this. So you're not very sure whether you would be there. For that, there's a model introduced by, right, two gentlemen there by name of Dr. Robert Kaplan of Harvard University and Dr. David Norton. Now, Kaplan and Norton together, right, came up with a model called Balance Scorecard, or in shortened form with the abbreviation, we call it BSR. Now, Balance Scorecard is a tool or model we are using in strategic control or strategic review or evaluation. What do you mean by strategic control? It can be we want to ensure we are moving right as we plan. Otherwise, we will go sometimes haywire. Right? We will be in the process, but we are not very sure we are moving toward the right direction. To ensure we are moving toward the right direction, we can make use of a the very important tool called Balance Scorecard, which put forward by Robert Kaplan and David Norton. Both of them are doctors in business management, business strategy. Then Methana briefly explain the strategic logic behind the popular Balance Scorecard framework. Make the eyes very pro sketch sketch sentences තුනකින් විනාඩි 4ක් වගේ විනාඩි 5ක් maximum ගන්න මේ ලකුණු කොටට. විනාඩි 5කට වැඩි යන්න එපා. මොකද ලකුණු 3නේ හම්බෙන්නේ. නේද? ඊට පස්සේ ඒගොල්ලෝ අහනවා apply balance scorecard component, right? ඒක අපි ඒ ප්‍රශ්නේ උත්තරෙත් එක්කම තියෙන slide එකේදී තියෙනවා මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ බලමු. දැන් ඉස්සරහට බලමු මේකට උත්තරේ මොනවද කියලා. Can we move forward to the next slide please? Yeah. දැන් මෙන්න මෙතන කියනවා මොකද්ද balance scorecard එක කියලා බොහොම සරලව. I hope you have done in your right. If anyone, I told yesterday also, I see now today we have few more people. Yesterday we had 9 people, but anyone at the end of the last slide, you will find my email address and telephone number. If anyone is not aware or has not heard of balance scorecard and all, still I can help you by sending you some notes and all that and all, right? So talk to us, we will help you out. I hope that you have covered these areas in your theory as you have covered the syllabus in, right? Your subject, business strategy and risk management, right? So what is the balance scorecard? The purpose of balance scorecard, BSC, as a strategic control system is a shift management attention to take management attention away from sole reliance of financial performance indicators towards long-term strategic drivers and milestone which eventually determines long-term financial health, sustainability of performance. What happens was in the balance scorecard is something different. Initially, right, predominantly people try to measure, business leaders, strategists try to measure companies' performance in terms of finance only. But finance is one of the important variables. It's not the thing, because if you're financially successful means it will not necessarily guarantee your long-term sustainability of the business. ඔබ මූල්‍ය වශයෙන් සාර්ථකයි කියන එක ඔබගේ ව්‍යාපාරය දීර්ඝකාලීනව සාර්ථක වෙනවයි කියලා දෙන සුවිශේෂ guarantee එකක් නෙමෙයි. ඒක it is important, but it is not the thing. Right? That's what here they take. So usually what happens, sole reliances. ඔබ කෙලින්ම රඳාපැවතුනේ financial performance එක විතරයි මේක company එක right සාර්ථක කරගෙන යනවායි කියලා. But Norton and Kaplan came and said, no, along with financial performance, there are another 3 very important areas you have to look at in the overall. It's like a cockpit. When you get into an aeroplane, that a cockpit has to look at to many things: fuel, direction, weather, the technical correctness and effectiveness of the aircraft. All those things put together will ensure that you are going to the right destinations by air. If not, just because of you have fuel only, if your technicalities fail, you still don't go there. If your weather is not good, despite the fact that you have fuel and technically good, still you can't go there. So likewise, you have to take these 4 main ingredients into consideration. So balance scorecard through Norton and right these 2 gentlemen who put forward it, Robert Kaplan and David Norton, they said, look here, you have to look at 4 main areas of business, not only finance, including finance. There are another 3 areas. Those 3 areas we have to do. That's a tool, right, in order to control your strategic journey. So the balance scorecard is a visual tool used to measure the effectiveness, the effectiveness of an activity against the strategic plan of the company. උපාය ක්‍රමවේදී සැලැස්මක සාර්ථකත්වයේ මනන නිම්මක් tool එකක් තමයි. ඒක tool එකක්. Balance scorecard often are used during the strategic planning to make sure company's efforts are aligned. ඔබගේ company के efforts, company के උත්සාහයන් align කරලා තියෙනවා. Align කියන්නේ මොනවද? Connect කරලා තියෙනවා. Connect කරලා තියෙනවා, link කරලා තියෙනවා with overall strategy and vision. Yeah. That means what you do financially, what you do technology, what you do in terms of customer, this import, what you do in innovation. The 4 main areas ඔක්කොම ටිකම අපි කරන දේවල් හරි one day අපේ strategy එක මේ කරන දේවල් අපේ vision එකට අපේ objectives achieve කරන්න ගෙනියනවා. අන්න ඒකට තමයි අපි කියන්නේ balance scorecard එක. So you know you this is I have given you for 3 marks very basic simple explanation. You can write the way you want in simple terms, right? Balance scorecard is blah 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 blah. This is what balance scorecard එකේ තියෙන එක මේකේ තියෙන්නේ. බලන්න මොනවද කරන්න කියලා briefly explain. So define and explain. So 2 small sentences are good. Don't spend more than 5 minutes to get 3 marks. And if you have time, let's move to the next slide, please. Move to the next slide. මෙන්න මෙහෙම පොඩි එකක් අඳින්න පුළුවන්. මේක ඔක්කොම ඕනෙත් නැහැ. දැන් මේක තියෙන්නේ මැද තියෙන ස්ට්‍රැටජි එක කියලා. මේ ස්ට්‍රැටජි එක තමයි අපි ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්නේ. But with the strategy we are implementing to achieve objectives and vision. Strategy we are putting in to achieve your objectives and vision. So in center you can have even strategy and objective and vision. So what are the 4 perspectives? Initially we said we are looking from financial perspective, but more than financial perspective, you need to have business process, learning and growth, and customer perspective. So financial perspective means how should we appear to our shareholders? How can we create more value to our shareholders? අපි අපගේ shareholders ලට නැත්නම් කොටස්කරුවන්ට වැඩි අගයක් නිර්මාණය කරන්නේ කොහොමද? What business process we must excel? මොන වගේ business process එකක්ද? ව්‍යාපාර ක්‍රියාවලියක්ද අපි සාර්ථක වෙන්න excel කරන්න ඕනේ නැත්නම් සාර්ථකව පවත්වාගෙන යන්න ඕනේ? Learning and growth. How will we sustain our ability to change and improve? Yes. කොහොමද අපි how will we sustain? අපි කොහොමද සාර්ථකව රඳාපවතින්න දරා ගන්න? අපි change එක සහ improvements, continuous improvements කරන්නේ learning and growth with our employees, our processes, our markets, our everything what we do that should be continuously improved. And finally, in marketing perspectives, how should we appear to our customers in terms of our products and service, customer service, right? Relationship marketing, ඔක්කොම. දැන් ඒවේ කරන්න ඕන වැඩ මේකේ තියෙනවා. I think ලකුණු 3කට මේක ඔක්කොම අඳින්න ඕනේ. අර blue වලින් තියෙන ටික විතරක් අඳද්දත් ඇති. ඒ කියන්නේ financial perspective, right? කියලා කොටුවක් දැම්ම, business perspective, processes, learning and growth, customer growth, method, strategy, objectives and strategy, right? A vision කියලා දැම්මන. ඒ කියන්නේ right, this is so from this tool according to right Kaplan and Norton what they said, you have to look at all these 4 areas in business, not only finance. Hope you understand. Let's move to the next question. Right. Make a practical situation, right? Make situation relate practically. Right? But they ask, apply BSC balance scorecard components, right? That means financial force perspectives, right? Internal business process perspective, innovative perspectives, and customer perspective. Right? 4 components. Right? Components to formulate a set of measures that a super quality dining can put it into practice of pursuit can successfully continue to do something of their strategic objectives, right? Provide 3 specific measures, performance measures in relation to the SQD, right? Under each of the 4 balance scorecard perspectives. The financial, customer, internal, innovation and learning. Perspective අපි සාර්ථක කරගන්න නම් අපි මේ SQD super dining quality dining එක කළ යුතු මොනවාද අපි කියන්නේ මේවට කියන්නේ KPIs කියලා. Key performance areas. Identify key performance areas. When මෙන්න මේ key performance areas, 3 areas if you identify under each one, customer, finance, internal business, innovation and learning කියන අතර තුන identify කරගත්තාම ඒ කියන්නේ ඒ තුන main drivers ලා තුන drive කළාම we achieve financial perspectives. For example, අපි කියනවා return on assets, return on equity, right? Individual restaurant profitability, individual restaurant කියන්නේ හැම district එකෙම තියෙන right restaurants well individual profitability Colombo තියෙන higher individual profitability මේව ටික බැලුවා නම් අපිට applicant from financially we are achieving, we are there කියලා. ඒකම customer ගත්තොත් එම food quality, you have to do surveys and measures and identify food quality, organic quality of the food ingredients, service quality when customers come to you, how you greet, how you serve them, how, right? Totally once they dine at your place and when they go out, what sort of feeling they have. All that you have to measure. And never take a measure kala me tika okko metana කියන මේ 4 තියෙන හැම තුනම 4වත් තුන මේ 12 monitor කළා නම් that means you are moving towards your objectives and mission කියන එක තමයි කියන්නේ basically. So we have to identify within the given context of the SQD, if not super quality dining restaurants ඇතුලේ මේ industry එක ඇතුලේ අපි හොයා ගන්න ඕනේ මේකට මොනවාද තියෙන්නේ කියලා මේ කියුණු relevant KPIs, key performance indicators or key performance areas we have to identify. Now financially you must be like being management accountants, you are familiar with that. I'm not going to explain, but just give a small explanation. Measures like ROA, return on assets, you know return on assets, ROE, right? ROE actually, return on equity actually, return on equity and return on assets. So return on equity is all about what? ROE is a measure of how the profitability of a corporate, profitability of of a corporate in relation to the shareholders' equity. So that's usually you gain by net income divided by shareholders' equity. So that's one measure. So if you achieve it, it means you are financially okay, and it will be better further if you have ROE. ROE means ROA means return on assets actually. So ROE is, as you know, it's an indicator of how profitable a company is relative to its total assets, right? It's total assets. Normally it is shown as a percentage, as you know, how efficient the company's right management is, right, using its assets to generate earnings. That's what ROE is, So individual restaurants, individual restaurants. So if you get right, if you set objectives and targets for this, like KPIs, these are KPAs, these are key performance areas. If you put certain targets to them and drive it, so you can see basically you are achieving those targets, means financial perspectives are achieved. Financially, you are strong. Similarly, other areas. So in customer perspective means quality food, and then organic food, and also the level of service you offer. In internal business perspective is what? That means how we must excel. අපි කොහොමද මේ operation එක සාර්ථකව කරගෙන යන්නේ? How do we, right? How do we how do customers see us? කොහොමද in customers eyes, how they look at us? That's customer perspective. So measures in internal business perspectives are like careful management of core customer process that have a greatest impact on the customer satisfaction. Yes, how do you manage customer relationship marketing, customer process when customer comes to the restaurant, the way you greet, the way you take care of them, that's all you have to manage properly. Purchasing and preserving the quality of ingredients. Yes, the food items you buy, in order to keep their true quality freshness, how do you, the way of you purchase, your procurement, your sourcing happens, and also once they land at you, how do you preserve their quality? Like your inbound logistic and right, your outbound logistic operations kind of thing in the value chain, as Michael Porter talked about. If you look at like Hilton Hotel or right value chain of Hilton Hotel or restaurant, you can just see these, the purchasing methods of perishables, processed meats, unprocessed meat, non-processed meats, the vegetable, fresh produce, fruits and all, how do you keep? And also reservation process and ordering process. Yes, if customer wants to make a reservation for you, and how they do order, have you got a website, have you got a telephone ordering system, online system, and there are people to attend to that with a very good customer service. All that are the internal perspective. How do you excel, how do you operate, how do you carry out, execute your system effectively. If you do that, that's good. Then you have balance actually in all the areas of business. It's not on finance. Innovation and learning perspective. Can we continue to improve and create value? Yes, as people, as organization, are we constantly create value to our customers, valuable customers, right? Like menu updating and changing processes, new product introduction, right? I mean, every day, every week, every month, you have some new thing, new items added onto your menu, and you offer new dining experience to the customers, and music, ambience music, lighting, chair, like other chairs and other facilities, right? Until foods are coming, what sort of enjoyment you have, music groups playing. Like you have to create more experience, you give more experience to the people. Training of service personnel to suit expectations of the customer segments. Yeah, high level now. This is upmarket, as described in the mini case scenario. High end of the families, rich, wealthy families are coming. Then the customer service should be at very high level. Then your frontline staff, receptionists, right? The public relations officers, doormen, the barmen, and waiters. All those who are coming to first contact with the customers should be well trained. They should communicate very nicely. Politeness, gratefulness, all that should be very important. So those, for that you have to offer training and development facilities, training and talent management all the time, and also reward process to employees. Yes, how do you, in order to, now if your employees in the hotels or restaurants are not satisfied, if they are not happy, they can't make external customers happy. That's a concept. So first what happened, you have to make your customers happy and they enjoy what they do. Then only when external customers coming to your restaurants, they will get lively and with interest involved in what they do, and give an unforgettable experience to the customers coming into the restaurant. Therefore, you have to have a reward system. Training and development alone will not, right, make things happen. You have to have sometimes service charges or targets given, these KPIs, and then they achieve profit sharing, commission system, kind of financial reward system to make them happy. So all these things are there under each category of financial, internal business, customer, and innovation. All these three areas are working, and if you monitor them periodically, weekly, fortnight, monthly, quarterly, biannually, annually, and you can ensure over a period of time you are moving towards where you aspire to be. That's what the strategic control is bringing. Hope you understand it. Can we move to the next slide, please? Okay, 15 marks question, right? It's part 3 we are moving now. Part 1 and part 2 both we have completed. Huh? This is the final part. You have 2 questions. So I'll quickly go through. Uh, Answer to, right? So let's say question number 5 in your paper. See, LMP Limited is a large organization producing and distributing a range of biscuits with their factory located in Ratmalana, maybe something similar to Melbourne, huh? And operations covering all island market space. So they are island-wide distributor. They cover with their branded biscuits entire entire Sri Lanka. The company operates in a volatile competitive environment. No, volatile means your competitive environment is highly volatile. That means for tell you frankly, since I have some exposure to biscuit business in Sri Lanka, we have over 45 biscuit manufacturing companies today, with the leading companies like Munchie accounts for about 55% market share, and Melbourne accounts for about 28 to 30% market share, being the giants in the market. All other people are accounting to for about 20 to 25% market share. So there are about 38 to 40 companies of such. And on top of that, they are going to be a huge competition. Sri Lanka's currently number 1 or rather number 2 business tycoon, Mr. Dhammika Perera, is opening a biscuit factory in Kahatudua, Piliyandala, down Piliyandala area. He has already bought about 75-acre land area, and he will be investing Asia's one of the biggest biscuit factories very soon. So what he says at the moment, he will not be looking at very aggressive Sri Lankan market because it's going to be a BOI project. So he will look at South Asian and Far East, the countries where huge biscuit demand is there. But of course, certain portion, at least 15 to 20% BOI approved portions. So he will bring some competition to local market also, and subsequently, eventually, he will put a lot of pressure on local competitors. That's what's developing at the moment. I just shared with biscuit and confectionery manufacturing in Sri Lanka. So anyway, Sri Lankan today market without Dhammika Perera's involvement also is a highly volatile competitive market. Volatile means, as you know, changing, very risky and changing. Limited over a limited period of time, you can see a lot of changes are taking place. The recently appointed general manager Raveen made the undermentioned comments at a recent board meeting of LMP. Given the complexity of our operation in all the functional areas such as marketing, production, and human resource, or HR, etc., it may be advisable to appoint a separate risk management officer who will take out the headache of risks from the responsibilities of different divisional managers and solely look into the risk-related matters by him or herself. So it's quite straightforward. I don't have to go into details at your level, So this biscuit manufacturing company is highly volatile, highly, very competitive, fiercely competitive market they are operating, but they cover entire market. Now they have appointed a general manager to drive the organization. So he says in a board meeting, given complexity of the operation, they are complex, very complex operation. ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ මෙහෙයුම් කළමනාකරණය ඉතාම සංකීර්ණ නිසා එයා කියනවා එක functional managers ලට, right, marketing manager, HR manager, production manager, ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ areas වල තියෙන possible risk එක, business risk එක, ව්‍යාපාරික අවදානම, right, ගැන හිත ඉන්න වෙලාවක් නැති වෙයි. මොකද ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ areas highly volatile situation එක කරන්නේ, they have to concentrate lot on their respective areas. Therefore, it's better to have a separate, exclusive risk, business risk manager, risk officer. So then all our headaches, me as general manager, marketing manager, finance manager, HR manager, මේ ගොල්ලන්ගම මේ තියෙන risk management risk අවදානම එක area වල තියෙන අවදානම එයා ගනි, he will ගනි. This different divisional managers, and he will solely තනිකරම එයාට බලන්න පුළුවන්, එයා කියන්නේ ඔහුට ඔයාට එනෙක් කෙනාට බලන්න පුළුවන් business risk එක අපේ තියෙන එක තැන් වල තියෙන strategy. Risk is all about strategic. Risk is all about in implementing strategic planning process. What disturbs you in achieving your strategic objectives? That's what strategic risk or business risk එක යාට දෙන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. In this context එකේ මොනවද කියන්නේ? You are required to critically analyze the merits or otherwise. ඒ කියන්නේ credits and discredits, merits හොඳ සහ නරක of the statement made by the newly appointed GM, general manager, taking into account of really effective risk management. ඒ කියන්නේ නේද? effective risk management එකේ context එක යටතේ ලකුණු පහක් හම්බ වෙනවා. මෙයා QF එකේ හොඳ සහ නරක සලකා බලන්න කියනවා. දෙවෙනි ප්‍රශ්නේ, when managing risk amidst, right, among, that means among complexity, සංකීර්ණතාවය, modern day-to-day business environment, once identified, preferably such risk should be prioritized. I mean, risk එක කොහොමද prioritize කරන ක්‍රමවේදය කියලා. Propose and explain the method that could assist organization in prioritizing the risk faced by, preferably assisted with diagrammatic, right, presentation. 10 marks, you know. Let's move to the next slide. අපි බලමු ටක් ගාලා. දැන් අපි question එක දන්නවනේ. මේක ආයි කියන්න ඕනේ question එක දාන්න ඉන්න. දැන් මෙතෙන් යන්නේ මොකද risk එක කියන්නේ? business effective risk management කියන්නේ මොනවද කියලා ලකුණු පහක්. මේකට වැඩිම maximum 8 minutes 10 minutes වලට යන්න එපා. 8 minutes වලට වැඩි කියලා ලියන්න එපා. නේද? ඒ වගේ ලියන්න. ඕනම දේ ටික ගාලා දෙන්න. Here the GM is taking very, general manager newly appointed, very negative attitude towards the risk, overlooking under the idea that the organization needs to take risk in pursuit of its objective in the competitive world. So what we're trying to say is, at the very outset we say, look here, my general manager aluten ආපෙකන යා negative attitude එකක් තමයි ගන්නෙ. ඉතින් ඍණාත්මක ආකල්පයක් යා දරන්නේ risk එක. යා overlooking to, right, under the idea of that organization needs to risk pursuit in objectives in competitive world. So he says, okay, අපි general manager සහ, right, මම ඉස්සෙල්ලා කිව්වා වගේ, as I said earlier, and divisional managers මේ risk එක ගැන කලබල වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒකට වෙන කෙනෙක් දාන්න කියලා. So it's a negative attitude by himself as a corporate leader, right? In successful companies, effective risk management enables, that means supports or facilitates an organization to exploit opportunities. Yes, I mean, with the risk, there will be opportunities always. Right, there are various kind of risks, as you know, no? In that various kind of risk, what happens is you will have, right, you will have kind of opportunities also. So if you have a separate person who just looking at the risk only, you will miss such opportunities also. That's what you say here. Right? Exploit the opportunities and take additional risks that the same time better management risk while staying in control. Yes, I mean, business is all about risk. Business is inheriting risk everywhere in the business, from the strategic process to functional area, everywhere. It's like life, no? There's no life, I mean, beyond risk. So that's why it's so uncertain. Life is so uncertain. So in the case of any business, you have seen big business conglomerates have collapsed overnight. So therefore, you can't just sometimes. So we normally in business, we take calculated risk. We try to understand, analyze them, right? Mitigate the risk. That's what risk management is all about. So here, this guy is trying to avoid it, but in that you might sometimes lose out the opportunity. You may not be able to exploit the opportunities which are there in the market. Normally in the business, higher the risk, higher the return. Lower the risk, lower the return. If you don't take the risk, a return is not there. If you take the risk and successful, you have the return. So here we are talking about, right, losing out of the possible opportunities if you do not, right, take the risk proper. Maybe risk management function under a separate officer could assist to coordinate the risk management efforts. But nevertheless, the GM and his functional head should not avoid, yes, this mindset of risk awareness and always appreciate managing the risk as a part of the line manager's day-to-day responsibility. Yes, general manager type, functional managers type, right? Risk officer can risk manager can make a dollar they can't watch their hands off and saying that headache is there, because it is inherited in business that you have to be aware of, as general manager heading the department, I mean the entity, and divisional managers representing marketing, HR, finance, and so on. They have to understand and they have to take some sort of responsibility without passing it fully to a risk manager. That's not a way to do. Further, without having a real feel of what kind of risk that manager encounters in a particular area of operation, that means marketing, HR, finance, like, it would not be possible to strategize accordingly as well as execute such strategies to achieve desired objectives with mitigating. Mitigating means, as you know, reducing the risk prevailing, it's a great extent. Yes. So you, without knowing in your particular area, if you are the HR manager, if you are the finance manager, if you do not understand risk involved there, how can you mitigate it? How can you strategize to reduce it or eradicate it and drive your functions properly? Your risk is somewhere. It's like if you have a sickness, you try to pass on to someone else. No way. So here, to get your 5 marks, you have to say what risk is all about, and you have to critically analyze. The general manager's understanding of risk is not very, very prudent, very sensible, because all functional managers should bear some part of risk in the organization, right? Okay, let's move on to the next area. Right. Make it a broad idea. You can either way. I am using another slide also. I'm just trying to tell you, right? See what they say is, when managing risk amidst, right, like among complexity, may complexity may අතර ඒක අතර මේ complexity එක නැත්නම් මේ ව්‍යාකූල සංකීර්ණ තත්ත්වය ඇතුළේදී, right, මේක අපි පාලනය කරන modern day business, once identified, preferably such risk should be prioritized. අපි මේ risk එක, ඒ කියන්නේ business එක ගත්තොත් එහෙම පුතාලා ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්න විදිහට you may have done it, right? There are various kind of risk prevailing in the prevailing in an organization. No, you know, kind of risk available in, you have liability risk, your marketing risk, your change management risk, you may have project risk, you may have competitive risk, as here they talk about competition, you may have mergers and acquisition risk, you have compliance risk, you have economic risk, no, you have function, liquidity risk, you have procurement risk, HR risk, marketing risk. Likewise, you may have risk all over the business. So now, among many risks you have, now here in particular, with regard to the competitive risk you have, what they ask is, okay, how do you identify and prioritize it? What is the kind of methodology you use it? See, prioritizing risk faced by it. So how do you do that? Propose and explain the method. ක්‍රමවේදයක් යෝජනා කරන්න මේ risk එක එක තියෙන company වල තියෙන risk එක identify කරන්න හරියට. ඒකට diagrammatic form එකක් තියෙනවා නම් present කරන්න කියලා කියනවා. Then here I'm giving you 2 options. You can go for either one. It's almost the same. The gross risk associated with, that means you have to take calculated risk always by managing. So I mean risk. So associated risk with an event or situation, right, is the probability of the likelihood. Yes, there are 2 things. Probability or likelihood. කොච්චර දුරට ඒ විය හැකිද? Right? Event එකක්, risky event එකක් හරි situation එකක් හරි වෙන්න පුළුවන් සම්භාව්‍යතාවය, probability කියන්නේ විය හැකි බව. The possibility to happening, likelihood of that event situation, and coupled with an estimate of the impact. මොන වගේ impact එකක්ද? ඒ කියන්නේ අපි හැමතිස්සෙම අපි බලනවා නම් risk එකක්, ඒ risk එක බලන්න ඕනි 2 main characteristics, 2 main attributes. That means probability or likelihood and impact. ඒ කියන්නේ මොන වගේ impact එකක්, මොන වගේ බලපෑමක් මේ risk එකෙන් වෙයිද, ඒ risk එක කොච්චර දුරට වෙන්න පුළුවන්ද කියලා. ඒ කියන්නේ සමහර risk තියෙන්න පුළුවන්, as you know, risk එක වෙන්න තියෙන ප්‍රවණතාවය නැත්නම් probability එක. එහෙම නැත්නම් සම්භාව්‍යතාවය වැඩි, it's high, but the impact is low. ඒ කියන්නේ for example අපි හිතමු වහින්න තියෙනවා. වහින්න තියෙන අද ගොඩාක් දුරට වහින්න පුළුවන්. තියෙන fraction of වහින්න 99.9ක් වහින්න තියෙනවා. ඒ වැස්සයි කියලා අපිට ලොකු ගේමක් නැහැ. මොකද අපේ තරංගේ පවත්න්නේ ඉන්ඩෝ. අන්න ඒතකොට impact එක අඩුයි. හැබැයි අපි හිතමු වහින්න තියෙනවා. හැබැයි අපි තරංගේ පවත්න්නේ outdoor. එහෙනම් impact එක වැඩි. අපිට තරංගේ පවත්ත ගන්න බැරි වෙනවා. අන්න එහෙම තමයි අපි බලන්න ඕනේ මේක. So the 2 main attributes we are using, the impact potentiality. We are right, මොන වගේ බලපෑමක් වෙනවද, බලපෑම අඩුද වැඩිද, මේක වෙන්න පුළුවන්ද වැඩිද, වෙන්න තියෙන අවස්ථා වැඩිද අඩුද කියන එක. ඒක තමයි මේ diagram එකෙන් පෙන්නන ඔයගලන්ට පේනවා. ඒක මම I don't have to explain that extent, but that just it. Important of the company objective. How these 2 will impact on in the risk with regards to company objectives. The risks that fall within the category of high likelihood. ඒ කියන්නේ වෙන්න තියෙන ප්‍රවණතාවය ඉතා වැඩි, probability is high, coupled with high potential impact. ඒ කියන්නේ මේක වෙන්න තියෙන අවස්ථාවත් වැඩි, ඒක වුණොත් impact එකක්, අවදානම එහෙම නැත්නම් ඒකට තියෙන බලපෑමක් ඉහළ නම් are the most critical risk අන්න ඒව තමයි අපි identify කරගන්න ඕනේ. Critical risk that high priority and therefore need to be carefully managed. So you got to write this, explain it, and then you have to diagrammatically මේ වගේ එකක් පෙන්නනවා. මොකද පෙන්නනවා high impact, no, high likelihood. If impact is high, if likelihood high, such will have definite effectiveness on your organization achieving objectives or strategic journey. Therefore, right, you got to manage your risk in that area, right? Hope you understand it. And I have given another diagram simulated just to show you. It's extra one. Please move to the next one. High, low. Impact is high, low here. Right? Probability is high, low here, as you say. So it's a matrix. So matrix is consists of 4 quadrants. Quadrant can කොටුවකින් හතරෙන් එකක්, rectangle එකකින් හතරෙන් එකක්. දැන් අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් high, දැන් මේ insure and mitigate කියලා කියන්නේ rare catastrophic. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒකේ impact එක high, but probability එක වෙන්න තියන්න පුළුවන් ඒක low. ඒ කියන්නේ නේද? So low high situation. වෙන්න තියෙන ප්‍රවණතාවය ඉතා අඩුයි. හැබැයි වුණොත් impact එක වැඩි. ඒකෙන්ද ඒක right insure කරලා ඒක mitigate කරන අඩු කරනවා. ඒක rare catastrophic. කලාතුරකින් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Next to that, see, high. See? Impact also high, probability also high. That means වෙන්න තියෙන right ඒක වෙන්න පුළුවන් වුණොත් ලොකු impact එකක් තියෙනවා. Your internet connection is right. Okay. So therefore you can understand it. Huh? You can understand it that way. Okay. We can move to the next one, final one. We quickly complete this. Huh? Connection given there. Right. Okay. Question number 6. Quickly we look at and then we say bye. Right. I hope you understand whatever we discussed. Premier Woodlanka Limited is a long-standing established top-end office furniture. Top-end. Top-end means in other words high-end. High-end. Upmarket kila can upmarket. That means not the middle market, not the low market, but high end. Manufacturing company and markets an exclusive range. That means superior range of office furniture items, mostly aimed at boardrooms and top executive officers like managing director, CEO, board of directors, top managers, and all. Out of expensive solid wood. Niyama leveling hadapo a top executive wood තමයි මේගොල්ලෝ Premier Wood Lanka එක manufacture කරන්නේ. The company enjoys a good brand reputation as a quality producer of such top-end expensive furniture. So high quality, high-end, upmarket, superb, solid wood වලින් හදන quality වලට they have a very good brand name also. It is staffed with, they have staff, right, employees with experienced cadre. Their team of people are very experienced of management and a workforce with intimate knowledge කියන්නේ හිතයිෂී දැනුමක්. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒගොල්ලන්ට in depth ඉතා හොඳ දැනුමක් තියෙනවා මේ wood වලින් craft කරලා හොඳ ලීබඩු හදන්න, wood craft, and all functions of the business including the key designs and development section. Everything A to Z in the business is they're very well known, experienced staff, high caliber staff is there. A planning division has proposed the company needs to enter into technology-driven aluminium furniture production. Since the profit margins of the existing business are on the declining due to the scarcity of the timber suppliers, lack of experienced craftsmen, and rising output costs. Okay, that's a new strategy they are proposing. So what they say is the second paragraph. Now, may timber the lee and adu wenawa scarcity එකක් තියෙනවා. මේකේ craftsman la experience මිනිස්සු හරියට වැඩ කරන වඩුවෝ craftsman ලා නැත්නම් carpenters ලත් නැහැ. මේකින්ද මේකේ තියෙන profit margin එක GP margins, right, are dropping, declining, deteriorating, අඩු වෙනවා. ඒකින්ද they are thinking of through new technology go into aluminium fabrications also. Wooden වලින් නෙමෙයි aluminium වලින් හදපු offices and furnitures වලට යන්න they are proposing. Their planning division, strategic planning division is telling, okay, our profit margins are in the existing business of wooden, branded wood, it is dropping. So therefore, we will go to aluminium. Aluminium. The plan also proposes that the company to have a larger production range right? Appoint regional distributors and mention that the strength of the existing brand will be a distinctive advantage for the strategic success of the proposal. What they say is, okay, they're saying, okay, we will go island wide, and then we need to have a large range of product to satisfy all the needs of the customers, different corporate customers, directors, CEOs, and all. And also we will have island-wide distribution. For that, island-wide, right, district-wise, geographically, distributors will be, right, appointed. And also, since we have already named a good reputation, brand equity, brand name, brand reputation is there with the wood-based product, it will be really advantage strategically when we are moving to a, right, the aluminium furniture production. So that means we call synergy. The name already, good name, corporate reputation, as well as the brand name we have earned in solid wood market will be really helpful for us to get into the new business of aluminium. In such context, let's move on to the next slide, please, quickly. The chairman of the company has inquired you, right? Okay, that's good. Yeah. The chairman of the company has inquired you as the management accountant of the company to advise him the potential strategic risk that the company will have to face of its to embark on a strategic initiatives. It may be assumed that the new proposal has passed the test of feasibility, that the company has huge accumulated financial reserves, and excellent goodwill and backing of the financial institutions. Chairman, what they say, what chairman is telling, he has requested you as a management accountant to advise him the potential strategic risk. What sort of risk would you have when we are going to embark on these initiatives? That means aluminium fabricated industry, if we move on, like embarking means starting, right? Strategic initiatives. May api krama upayaka, right? Wedapilivela karagana giyot. What sort of risk will be there? And also, it may be assumed that the new proposal has passed the feasibility. May alu proposal leka shakshataavya. Feasibility can be practical possibility. Practically make a possible kela pass approval, because company has huge accumulated financial reserves. So long they have been running this solid, timber business with right the furniture upmarket for the executives and top executives. So they have accumulated reserves enough, right? Sanchita, Mule Sanchita Godak, Saldi Godak, investor and opportunity. And right, and also they have financial resource, they have goodwill, brand and corporate. On the namak, brand company type. And also, since they have very sort of attractive, proven track records with bankers and lending agencies, the bankers are right. They have promised to support them financially in terms of project financing, loans to financial support to run this new business. So they have bank support, they have their own finance equity, they have brand names and corporate image. And then why not we are going into the aluminium fabricated market is the question of the seems to be the chairman, and they are asking, the chairman is asking you as a management accountant, tell me what is the strategic risk involved here. So you have to say again in short, very brief, what is the strategic risk is all about. Just explain. So define and explain. What do you mean by strategic risk? Are those risks that are most consequential to the organization's ability to execute its strategies and achieve its business objectives. That's all about strategic risk. Strategic risk means the risks or avadhanama which you have, you foresee over the pain. We're not trying to execute a strategic plan and achieve your strategic objectives. So if anything is deterring, mitigating, disturbing, and becoming hurdle for you to execute your strategic plan formulated or crafted in order to achieve your strategic objectives, that is the strategic risk. A strategic risk can be right that. These are the risk exposure that can ultimately affect shareholder value of the viability of the organization. Yes, end of the day, if these risks, if you identify, right, right? If you fail to identify, they will come and disturb your business, because you will not be able to execute your strategic plan effectively. Thereby, desired objectives will not be achieved. Then the shareholders' wealth, right? Shareholders' value addition will not be there. The profits, right, will not be there. Then your business viability will be questioned. That means your business will not be commercially viable. So therefore, you have to identify these greater risks which will impact your business in the strategic journey. Further strategic risks as your business attempts to achieve your strategic objectives, internal and external events that can deter means again, right, disturb, reduce, or prevent you from accomplishing them. Accomplishing them means successfully completing them. That means it will, right, these are internal or external, right? Bahira ho abyantarika forces බලවේගයන් එම බලවේග ඔයාව deter කරනවා, prevent කරනවා, accomplishing සාර්ථකව නිම කරන එක ඔයාගේ strategic journey එක. This is known as a strategic risk. You can define strategic risk as the potential impact of decisions of a defective or appropriate strategy. Yes. So risk can be, as I said, the many risks you can have, like your customer is moving away from the preferences or brand loyalty, your employees are going on a strike, or you can't find right kind of a workforce. Any strategic function, or right throughout from the strategic function processes, you might find difficulties and right බාධකයන් එන්න පුළුවන්. එනේ බාධක වලට අපි කියනවා අවදාන වලට strategic risk කියලා. So if you give an explanation like that, that's good enough. We are moving to the final area. Please move out to the final area. Right. මේක තමයි final answer එක. දැන් මේගොල්ලෝ අහනවා තව ලකුණු 10ක් දීලා question එකක්. ඒක තමයි recognize two potential strategic risks arising out of the new initiatives recommended. What is the new initiative here? To go for aluminium fabricated industry from where they are now in the solid timber, right, furniture business. Since their markups are coming down due to high raw material prices and also timber being scared, shortages, and also craft employees, skillful employees are not there. They are suffering their profit margins. So deteriorating or declining due to profit margins in the existing sector, there's a strategic move to go into the aluminium fabricated industry. That is what they say, new initiatives. New initiatives, and recommend appropriate risk mitigation. Risk mitigation කියන්නේ risk එක අඩු කරන නේද? අපි risk එක normally, if you can, risk should be eradicated. Eradicated කියන්නේ අවදානම සම්පූර්ණයෙන් අයින් කරන්න පුළුවන්. බොහෝ දුරට නේද අපේ ජීවිතවල සම්පූර්ණ අවදානම අඩු කරන්න බෑ වගේ අපිට පුළුවන් තියෙන අවදානම අපි අවබෝධ කරගෙන ඒක calculate කරලා ඒක අඩු කරන්න පියවර ගන්න එකට. අන්නේ අපි risk එක අඩු කරනවාට කියනවා risk mitigation strategies කියලා. ඒතකොට risk mitigation strategies කියන්නේ අවදානම තියෙන අවදානම බොහෝ දුරට අඩු කළා අපිට sustain කරගන්න දරා ගන්න පුළුවන් තරමට කරන උපාය ක්‍රමවේදයන්ට අපි කියනවා ක්‍රම උපායක බවට risk mitigation strategies in relation to the such identified risk. ඒතර අපි මෙතන risk mitigation risk දෙකක් identify කරගෙන ඒක propose කරනවා. බලන්න මෙතන අපි කියන strategic risk දෙකක් brand risk එක තියෙනවා. Premier Wood Lanka brand is synonymous කියන්නේ attached together. They are together with a high quality solid wood furniture. Yes. When you say Premier Wood Lanka brand කියන්නේ නම කිව්ව හැටි මිනිස්සු දන්නවා මේ කියන්නේ quality furniture වලට කියලා. Like Don Carol's වගේ නේද? Right? Synonymous. ඒකට බැඳලා තියෙනවා. Solid wood furniture, and the brand may suffer dilution when associated with the cheaper aluminium furniture, office furniture. Yes, already over years of time, over a period of time, good name, the solid name they have earned when they go into, just because of they are having right the margin dropping situation, when they venture into a new furniture, that aluminium right furniture fabrication sector, that is cheap actually, that low quality. So their good name, but they have earned may suffer. So there will be a brand and corporate, right, image suffering. That's you call suffer dilution. Dilute again, දියාරු වෙනවා කියන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ හොඳ කීර්ති නාමය, සන්නාම කීර්ති නාමය, brand එක, good brand name can decline, deteriorate, dilute, දිය වෙලා යන්න පුළුවන්. Okay, it's over. Time is over. What? I need that slide again. Right. Anyway, without the slide also, Sri Lanka has started screen share. Right. Okay. Right. Just 2 minutes only. Another 2 minutes since we started. No, 3:15 like 3:17. Right. Going to last slide. Final slide, son or daughter. Thank you. Thanks. So that's what. So if decided to embark can start. Aluminium fabric business start if you decide to embark, go on that new project, there will have to be repositioning of the brand and advice of marketing specialists together with the brand new marketing strategy. Maybe alternatively, it could commence this under a different brand. Yes, what they say is, if in case if you want to go and start this aluminium fabricated business, please do it separately and position your aluminium product separately with the advice of marketing experts. So you have to have a different marketing strategy, 4Ps, product, price, place, promotion, 4Ps bundled together and do different segmentation, targeting and positioning, and position aluminium fabrication in a different way in your target market groups, target audience, not to mix up with that's the advice. Recognize two potential risks and advice. So that's so brand risk is there. In order to mitigate that brand risk, right, this is what you should do. Different positioning strategy is proposed under marketing experts. Second one is technology. The new initiatives will expose to the deficiency of the technology expertise of the company, as this will be a totally different manufacturing technology and the existing staff may not possess such skills. Yes. Takshaning, then wood, solid wood furniture wala tibunu takshaneta vename, aluminium fabrication takshane sampurna venas. So you need to have new technology, new skills, employees, cadre people. So your existing people, those who are right, those who are carpenters and craftsmen in wood, would not be familiar with aluminium fabrication. Therefore, there's a skill there you do not have, you do not possess, you do not have, right, within your company currently, the technology and the skills and capabilities where the people or employees to drive aluminium fabrication industry business. That's right. Then what is the solution? How to mitigate that risk? Maybe initially the company could start a new subsidiary while retaining and downsizing the existing business. Also, the company needs to immediately embark on a strategic analysis to understand the profit problems. Maybe the company is currently underpricing, as they are catering to a very focused and affordable customer segment. So yes, that's the in order to mitigate the risk, what is the suggestion? Maybe initially the company could start a new subsidiary while retaining and downsizing the existing business. So if you think that your current business is not sustainable due to huge expenses and decline in markup, you downsize. By downsizing, you downsize means the size of the operation you reduce and get out of some people and reduce your cost and try to sustain it. That's one way you can be in the current business. Then also the company needs to immediately embark on the strategic analysis of the really understand the profit problem. Then see why your profits are declining. What is the reason and how your profits, your margin, GP margins are dropping, which are not which are not supporting you to sustain the business successfully. Maybe the company is currently underpricing. Your pricing strategy may have problem, and since you are catering to the same old affordable customers, maybe you will have to have a new pricing strategy where you increase your prices and secure your required profit margins. That you can do, right? That's one way you can, that's a see. And in addition to that, I also have added another thing. Further, as a separate factor, since they're asking two, you can, for 5 marks, 10, 5 each, 10 marks, 5 into 2, 10. This is enough. But as I given in within brackets, further as a separate factor, you may mention that set up competition itself. As a new entrant to the aluminium furniture market, there will be established strong existing players. Yes, right. So I mean that itself, right? Your competition is a real threat. So you will have strong players in the existing market. So when you become a new entrant to the die market, they will not keep quiet. They will have competitive strategies to, right, discourage you not to enter the market. So there's a greater risk that you enter. Sometimes you have to return, come back from that market faster than you entered. ගියාට වැඩි ඉක්මනින් අකුලගෙන එන්න වෙයි. ඒකේ ඉන්න strong, right, competitors එකතු වෙලා ගහන්න පටන් ගත්තා. So there's a competitive risk also. If anyone wants to touch upon that, you can touch that extra point, but brand and technology will be sufficient. Next slide, final slide, please. That's it. So that's over. So we have discussed basically in your question paper yesterday, we spent good time with the opening day 2 hours with the compulsory 50 marks question. And today we look at part 2 and part 3, all the questions. You know, you have options in part 2 and part 3. I hope I have made myself clear to you as much as possible, right? If anyone wants to ask questions, you can ask. And as you see my email address and telephone number, as I said yesterday, you can always contact me on behalf of CMS Sri Lanka. I will try to support you. I hope my explanation was clear and there's some sort of value addition to you through these 2 sessions, yesterday 2 hours and today 2 sessions, 2 hours. We conducted 4 hours in discussing your 403 BSR, rather, business strategy and risk management, strategic level, May 2020 paper. So thank you for waiting and sharing knowledge with us and being online. Wish you all the best with your studies and examination forthcoming, and hope to see you one day, though we do not see physically, being qualified management accountant through CMS Sri Lanka. So finally, thank you very much once again. God bless you all. Thank you, Madhushi, for helping me today, and also thank you once again, your director, Education, Training and Research, Ms. Ginanji Chandraratna, also her support and coordination. Thanks a lot. I can remain if you want, if you have any questions. If not, we can call it a day. Thanks. God bless you all. Madhushi? Madhushi? Seems to be no questions. So you can say bye then, no? All right. Madhushi, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. I think they don't have any questions.
Question. Okay, thanks. Then we can wind up, no?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thanks a lot again. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Deepal.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye. Bye.